in today's buzz how simple things such as plastic bags can help create jobs.
Well, I just thought it was really interesting. The woman that was crocheting these plastic bags, how are you doing that? It was interesting. I really wanted to learn how to do that. And she said, well, I take these plastic bags and I cut them into strips and I crochet them. And I said, well, I don't know how to crochet either. So the lady had to teach me how to crochet. And then when I started learning how to do that, it was difficult for me, but I learned how to do that. And
now, sorry to interrupt, but did you crochet using the materials that you're using now? That's plastic,
yes,
right?
It is the plastic bag, just shopping bags.
Okay. And then how do they end up becoming the strings that you use for crocheting?
I cut them I fold them and I cut them into little strips.
Now, it's such a wonderful thing that you're doing. I mean, I've seen crochet before, but I've not seen crochet in such form that you're utilizing. The fact that you're using plastic bags, this really solves a problem, because with all the recycling problems that are going on.
And in Africa, it was just all over
everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes. And they can pick up the ones, and if they're still in good use, they can wash them, and they hang them out on the clothesline and dry them, and then they can use them.
So when you start learning how to crochet, did you think that someday you're going to be using this for something bigger?
Not at first, but then I started doing it, and then I always had a heart for helping like orphans and just helping people, and I love little children.
You teach women to make these bags, how to crochet using the plastic materials in Kenya and Uganda.
Yes.
Tell me about how you end up in Kenya, Uganda, and how you end up teaching women how to utilize such a skill.
Well, I started through my church in Colorado. I went to two brothers went to started going to Africa. And I said, I really want to go. I've always had a heart for that since I was about 3.
Did you know anything about the continent, or you had
a little bit? I do have a Compassion International child.
All right.
Who is also in Uganda, and I just when I was little, I would see the commercials on TV too, and I just really wanted to help them. When I was little, I wanted to send them my toys and my food, whatever. I wanted to send it to them, but I couldn't do that. So I was like, yes, I want to go. Yes. And so I went there, and I fell in love with everybody, and I cried all the way back to America.
When did you go? When was your first trip?
My first trip was last August.
All right.
Yes.
And this was both Kenya and Uganda?
Yes.
Or okay.
We flew into Nairobi.
Yes.
And then we went over to Uganda. And Jinja, and I don't think we went to Kampala yet. I'm going to fly into Kampala next week.
Now, what was your mission to go to this country?
It was to go and hang out with the orphans. Yes. And there was a revival and crusade and things like that, and just to meet a fellowship with others. When we were there, we met up with a pastor, and they actually gave us an orphanage. And then, so we helped this orphanage, and then one orphanage became 2 orphanages, and now more orphanages, and I became a mother of these orphans.
What was your role there?
Well, it just started out, I was just loving them. Yes. And just being a mama to the children who didn't have a mother. And so now I'm going back for 3 months to fulfill that more.
Wonderful. How did you end up saying, all right, let me teach these women how to crochet? Tell me about that story. How did you come about that? Because language, I'm assuming, was a big barrier.
Well, I had some friends who over there, they were missionaries, and they were also pastors and different people, and so they would translate. I taught these women in about 15-20 minutes. And once it was at the orphanage, we didn't have any electricity. I had a flashlight, a headlamp on my head, and my friend was speaking in the other language, translating. And then there was the teacher, who I taught the teacher, and she knew English too, so she taught the other women, and that's how. And then I got pictures just a month and a half later, and they filled up a whole table of this, and that's more than I can do in a year by myself.
And how did they receive the lessons? Were they interested in it? I mean,
oh yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Are they making them for themselves, or they started a business?
They're doing it to raise money to feed the children,
okay,
to feed the orphans.
Now you mentioned to me, and it struck me, said, "I am not worthy. You know, I grew up all right, nothing
poor,
shocking or saying that I have money to expend or think of other people, but here you are."
We went to food banks.
Yes.
Where free food, food stamps.
Now, how did you find time to think of somebody else?
I think it helps to love others and think of others. And
thank you for watching The Buzz with me, your host, Queen Banda. Please tune in next week for more Buzz. Until then, keep safe. Thank you.